took a man like Madiba to free not just the prisoner, but the jailer as well. To show that you must trust others so that they may trust you. To teach that reconciliation is not a matter of ignoring a cruel past, but a means of confronting it with inclusion and generosity and truth.
Those are powerful words from U.S. President Obama, a testament to the life of a man who at times has been reviled, rejected, and in his later years revered and respected. Welcome to the Voice of America's look at the legendary life of Nelson Mandela, his impact on our world, and the way he inspired and shaped attitudes about race, forgiveness, and the nature of leadership, not just in his native South Africa, but around the world and right here in the United States. Welcome to the Voice of America's special report on Nelson Mandela. I'm Mil Arcega.
It was the only time that a Republican Congress overturned a veto from a Republican president on an international issue.
There were some politicians who did step forward, and one of the many Americans closely following the tributes to Nelson Mandela, of course, is former Virginia Governor Douglas Wilder. And Mr. Wilder is the nation's first elected African-American governor, and he had a special relationship with Mr. Mandela. He discussed that kinship during an interview at his Richmond, Virginia office with VOA correspondent Meredith Buell.
The moral giant of humanity saying, rise and you can make it.
Governor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Doug Wilder, who of course described Madiba as a moral giant, and yet, as recently as 2008, I don't know how many people know this, Mandela was on the U.S. terrorist watch list. How can that be? Or was that an oversight? What happens here? What happened?
I think perhaps in some ways it may have been an oversight, but
there were a lot of things that were not on the radar screen, or at least that we tried to sort of set aside. Now, Congresswoman Maxine Waters spoke about Mandela's capacity to lead and the way that he was able to shape, eventually, U.S. foreign policy. Let's have a listen.
Nelson Mandela had great influence here because our government had to finally admit that we had a role to play and that we should be using our power and our influence to bring down apartheid. And it took us far too long to do that.
What took so long? Well, why did it take so long for us to step in there and say apartheid is wrong?
Critical mass. You had to have a focal point.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We could keep this conversation going for a long time, and I hope it does, actually. So, Nicole Lee at TransAfrica, thank you for joining us, and Dr. Greg Carr, a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure.
And thank you to Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Virginia Governor Douglas Wilder. That's all the time we have, but I'm Mil Arcega, and on behalf of the Voice of America and our correspondents, thank you for joining us.